Good Monday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks, SUVs, motorcycles, trailers, dogs, the kid, my addictions. Good Monday morning there, and wow, it's Monday morning. It's back to the routine, and it's starting to rain up here. It's a humid, not so great day here on this Monday morning. We've been blessed to have so many nice days here in this Virginia area. But here's my barn. I got to start all over because my barn here, doors, I open, but apparently my pocket hit the clicker and it's closing them. And wow, the grass doesn't stop. We are in certain areas up here in Loudoun County, Virginia, in a drought. But it ain't happened to my house. I mean, it's grass. It's never stopped growing. But yet, where we keep our horse, we're limited to cleaning the horse with water because of the concern of the owner of the barn that her well will go dry. So we got to open up the barn again. I don't know what that's all about. It's just never simple, is it? Yeah, to keep our horse. I learned many, many years ago, if you buy a horse, you're a slave. You're a slave to your own horse if you don't board it. So I pay to board our horse because there ain't no way we're in my nice shop into the horse stall. Ain't gonna happen. And if you ever have owned a horse, you know what goes along with taking care of a horse. You're the slave. So yeah, so here we are. What's going on? Lots of things going on. Just so many conversations, so many things. And yeah, you heard me mention pay. And I thought to myself, wow, have we had the pay conversations? I don't think we have. And you know what kind of spurred that on was lots of things. Being number one, the UAW, the ongoing pay negotiations. But another thing I thought about was right here, I had a Black Rifle Company, coffee company, brand new mug that I got yesterday at Bass Pro Shops, aka, okay? So Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops have now become one. That happened, what, like 3 years ago or something? I'm not even sure on that. And so, anyways, here is a really nice knife. I bought two knives yesterday. The Old Timers knife, an expensive knife, $30 knife. Nice knife if you're a person. The guys out there, I'm sure the gals, I just love knives. I have so many knives, but I've never have owned actually a really nice knife. And yesterday, a guy by the name of Trent England at the Cabela's store in Haymarket or Gainesville, Virginia, he persuaded me to buy this bench-made knife, and he claims that it's got a forever warranty, whatever happens to it. So I bought this expensive knife, and this thing is extremely expensive. I really do like it, and they got a switchblade one as well, which would be pretty cool. But for me, I really do like this knife. And as you can see, it's just I really need to have my other hand really operating this. But anyways, really quality knife. And he claims you can mail this if you pay for the postage. You can mail this knife back at any time. Should anything defective happen to this knife and resharpen the blade. So anyways, $288. Wow. $300 knife. I'm even scared to put it on the surface here because it's such a nice knife, and for me, that's the most expensive knife I've ever paid for. Yeah, to me, even me, I'm crazy. I had a $100 gift card to put towards it, so it kind of all played out for me to do that. But wow, I'm like, wow. And then this black coffee, whatever, Black Rifle Company, coffee company, to buy this thing here, $25. And so yeah, I started thinking to myself, the pay. You know, that's a huge conversation of a lot of people that reach out my channel and say, how do you afford to pay for all this stuff? You know, what do you do? You know, how do you make all that money? That's a constant conversation of people that watch my channel, and which I get it. I'd be no different. I'd be like, how the heck does that guy have how many cars, how many trucks and motorcycles? I mean, come on. What does this guy do? So it's a constant thing that's asked upon me, but how do you make this income? It is everybody's life is how much money you can make so you can afford to pay for things and how much you actually are paid. So we'll kind of get back to that, but here's the And the Harley got a lot of people reaching out, challenging my overall feelings of the new Indian Pursuit versus the Harley-Davidson Road Glide CVO. And yeah, this Indian Pursuit, it's the Indian Challenger. But it's the Indian Challenger Elite, because only apparently the Elite Challenger has electronic suspension capability. So the difference between the Challenger and this Pursuit is you have the lowers, which adds some weight to the bike, and you have the rear tour pack. Other than that, it's the exact same motorcycle. So riding this motorcycle, I've had a lot of vibration, a shimmy feel in this front end, and come to find out, the Metzler, the tire manufacturer, had a bad batch of tires that they put on these Indian Pursuits, probably Challengers as well, and that's the problem. So it's not a issue of the bike not being a quality bike, it's more of a tire challenge. But beyond that, the bike rides great. It's just a little bit of shimmy there, but I get all that now. So then I have people here challenging the Harley-Davidson CVO, and the biggest thing you hear is that you paid too much. You paid too much. Right, yeah, it's expensive. But it's always been expensive. Davidson CVO product has always been the very expensive product line of Harley-Davidson, of being 10 grand, 12 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand more if people are putting ADM on them. So they always have been too expensive. That's just our... But people out there are kind of going back and forth, and the Indy Pursuit is the better of the two. But here's what's interesting. I believe the Harley-Davidson is the funner, better of the two, because they've just have come up on the quality, I think, and the look and the feel. And I get it. This bike here is $10,000 more than that bike, and doesn't have a tour pack or lowers. But here's the thing: individuals that own Pursuits and Challengers that have traded them in for the new CVO. These are people reaching out in comments. I've had about 4 people, I believe, comment so far that they got rid of their Pursuit or Challenger for the new CVO, and they're like, the CVO is the nicer bike. They're saying, hey, your comments about the CVO being a better bike than the Indian, it really is the better bike. So this is just me, and for me, I'm not here to bash really either brand. I'm just here to share what I experienced. And there's people out there now that this Harley-Davidson, to me, in so many aspects, is like the muscle car, the Dodge Hellcat, Charger, or Challenger. It has that more of that theme to it and that feel to it, versus the Indian Challenger. If I owned a BMW like M3 or M5 or whatever it may be, I would say, well, the Indian has more of that kind of refined ride and feel like the BMW would, with that liquid-cooled engine. So I think there's the muscle bike, like the muscle car, and there's the Beamer car to the, you can even say the Beamer bike. All right, let's get up here. The morning starts getting long with me yakking about my bikes, which is all about the bikes. We had a great time on Saturday going up to the dealership with Chris and Shannon, my new friends that are motorcycle enthusiasts. And we went up and we looked at motorcycles to see if we could find one that they could buy, because they're on the page to get some Indians, even though he already has an Indian. But anyway, so it's the pay stations. And yeah, if you want to get paid, you got to go to work Monday morning, right? What boss doesn't give you a hard time that says, yeah, you're always show up on Friday to get paid, but boy, sometimes on Mondays you don't show up to be paid. And yeah, who doesn't have those? Who doesn't have those stories, right? Oh my gosh, got to get going here. It's the Monday routine. Who doesn't know that story of getting going, motivated, focused, all that stuff? Let me get my cameras all adjusted here and get this and that and get the routine going. Wow. Yeah, I had a good weekend. And but so the pay. Oh, that's right. We lost the power on Saturday evening, and Chris and Shannon wanted to come out and see my shop. And we were going to ride back. We were riding back close to 4 o'clock to hang out at the shop, but the storms are coming in. I was like, you know what? I think you got to go the other way. And so they, last minute, about 20, 30 minutes from the house, we came to closure. You go home, I'm going home. And sure enough, by the time I got home, it wasn't like 15, 20 minutes later, the storms rolled in. And sure enough, power goes out. And I put up my PTO generator and tractor to power everything back on for close to 8 hours. Yeah, as Dominion tried to get their act together. But anyways, so the pay. So the reason I'm talking about pay is because more than ever, I'm reading just so many articles about how everybody's pay is being increased. But what's interesting is, and I could be wrong on this, but I think I'm somewhat correct, it seems that the manual labor pay is more the focus more than ever, and that the manual labor individuals are getting bigger compensation pay than they ever have. And you look at the tech side, we all know that, what's the, people say you got to go to college, you get a degree, computer science, doctorate degree, your master's, whatever you're going to be, business, all these different degrees you need to get to be able to make a living, to be able to be paid very well. And if you don't go to college, you won't be paid well. I mean, we've heard these stories, right? And to me, it's just like, well, there's so many variables to that to tell somebody because they didn't go to college they'll never make good pay. I think that's foolish. But at the same time, it's all about the college of the experience and going there and proving that you can put your nose to the grind and do what you got to do. But I never went to college. I mean, yeah, I went to a local college to freshen up my skills for one semester, and then I went back to working full-time from going part-time work and part-time school, or say full-time school, though. Anyways, yeah, so the pay, that's the challenge. I mean, so the challenge here more than ever is the labor, like the United Auto Workers, and we just had like the Teamsters Union for the UPS, and you just had the airline union. So apparently like the airline union, they got like a 46% pay increase, the biggest. Yeah, because it's a shortage of labor, and that's what's interesting here more than ever in today's society is, I guess so many people have heard for so many years that you're basically a nothing, which I mean you really have. If you tell somebody in high school you want to be a truck driver, you're going to be looked at like, a truck driver, oh boy. Yeah, you're going to go far in life. I mean, sincerely. You want to work for UPS and you'll be a delivery driver? Yeah, right, yeah. Wow, you poor guy. I mean, but yet I know of UPS drivers that are my age now, that are even younger, that are retired and have like $70,000 a year pensions. I mean, oh my gosh. And they left here the last few years making, $150, close to $200,000 with overtime. I mean, it's just like, yeah, right. So, but that's the message you get if you're a younger person, that if you're going to be in the manual labor field, you in some ways failed. You didn't succeed in life. So it's created a labor shortage in the fields for electricians, plumbers, truck drivers, airline pilots. I guess you could say factory jobs. I guess you could say landscapers. I mean, I think you go through a big list, but with the big hold of unions per se, which isn't really the most dominant in this country as far as you are unions, but it's not the dominant workforce. But it just shows all these different scales of where it's going with union people versus non-union people. So anyways, United Auto Workers, these guys are still negotiating. And the latest is that Stellantis came to the table with a 14% pay increase on a 4-year agreement. And this guy, Shawn Fain, he, once again, his position is like, nope, because they want a 40% plus. I wonder where he got the 40% number. I guess it's the airline pilots. They got that huge. And what they're talking about in these pay for these individuals is it's all about there's a shortage of people, and so the companies are really at the mercy of these unions because there's not enough people out there to go fly the planes. So if the union really does strike, then these airlines are dead in the water. So they have no choice really to cave to paying these pilots more money. And then the same thing at the big auto is the speculation is that in so many ways, the United Auto is going to have to come to the table because there just isn't enough other skilled workers to replace them. You know, they can just say overnight, hey, this just let go of all those people. And then also, they claim, this is the information I read, so, I could be wrong, but I'm just reading and sharing information to you that I read. And what they're saying is that the union has $850 million, and for its 144,000 union members, that's a guaranteed 2 months of pay. So if all the union workers decide to strike for 2 months, all of them would still be financially okay if they wanted to go to those funds to keep the union fighting the big three. Wow! When I just see myself, wow, the pay. I mean, and just like I talked about that knife I just showed you, $288. I just I showed you that Bass Pro Shops coffee mug, $24.99. It's $25. Everybody knows the old thing is, it's only $19.99. It's $20. Yeah, the car is only $41,999. It's $42,000. It's $49,999. It's $50,000. So it's everything about this increase in pay, which everybody, I'm sure, is heard that the airlines. I mean, the airlines are getting killed, meaning that not only have they had to raise their pilots' pay, they're also getting targeted by the government to be penalized for their lackadaisical, in their views, lackadaisical way they manage the way to keep the airplanes in the air on time and get them off the ground on time, and people have to suffer for their mistakes. But, there's weather-related challenges, lots of other variables there. But the whole point is the airlines now are supposed to pay for you to stay in a hotel room if they don't get you out of the town like they're supposed to. So here's a good story on the, and for me, it's just so much information of looking up things and figuring out who owns what. But the owner of Bass Pro Shops, what's it, Johnny, I know his name, Johnny Morris. Yeah, Johnny Morris. So Johnny Morris, here's a guy that I'm sure people have heard the story. I may have told it before on my channel, but Johnny Morris, here's a guy that figured out how to make the pay thing work. And what I mean by that is the Bass Pro Shops, which I'm sure if anybody here has gone to Bass Pro Shops, I mean, it's a really cool experience. It's just so cool to go to Bass Pro Shops. I mean, you get I can buy my shirts there. Here's my hat. You can buy your guns and ammo and your archery and your fishing gear, and they even have dog stuff. And it's just a great go-to place to have some fun if you want to spend some money, which, when you go there, you're going to spend some money if you're not careful. So anyways, this guy, Johnny Morris, very smart individual that came out of, I guess he came out of a shack selling bait down there in Mississippi or wherever he came from. But I'm not that in depth of this individual. All I know, I've heard the stories years ago, and anybody watching my channel may be able to clarify and correct it. But my understanding of Johnny Morris's true beginnings of success is he would pitch his business idea, building this big shop, Bass Pro Shops, and he would I'm watching the U.S. Open. What happened to Meta? The guy's laying on the ground. I didn't watch all that. What a great weekend. Hey, Coco Gauff, congratulations on her. And Djokovic, 24th win. I couldn't even watch it. I was so hoping that guy, Carlos Alcaraz, was going to be there, and that Hetson guy, Ben Hetson, whatever his name was. That would have been a cool match. But I've seen Djokovic so many times. I'm just ahead. But anyways, so Johnny Morris, he would go to localities, and he would present on how if he can get the taxpayers to build his building, the amount of tax revenue brought back to that local county and state will be far bigger than what they ever gave him to build his business. So yes, Johnny, created an empire by convincing governing officials that they need to build the facility on their monies, and the amount of monies he'll reward them with from the payroll for people being employed and from the sales tax collected that investment by the taxpayers will be minuscule in comparison to the rewards. In fact, what's interesting is down there in Tennessee, you have Bass Pro Shops right on the border of Bristol, Virginia, Bristol, Tennessee. That's down in Tennessee. Right as you cross into Tennessee, you're in Bristol, and then when you're in Tennessee, you're still in Bristol. It's confusing as all get out. You're in Bristol, Tennessee, and Bristol, Virginia. That's the facts. So apparently, Virginia had negotiated a deal with Bass Pro Shops, Johnny Morris, to do a deal, and the land is right there on the state line. Well, apparently Tennessee gave him a more favorable deal. At the last minute, he went to Tennessee, and he put the Bass Pro Shops on the Tennessee line. So now, in this huge facility or huge mass land that's Bass Pro Shops down there, and there's other now big shops. Now you have the CarMax, you have all the big retailers down there. So the Bass Pro Shops just draws a magnet of other things to it wherever it sets up shop. So apparently the road infrastructure, I'm down there, I know this, the traffic can get pretty challenging to get out of there sometimes. Well, the way that Bass Pro Shops is, it sits right on a massive piece of land that right next to it's all wide open, and if you can put a road over to another major road, you would really alleviate the only one way in, one way out. You can only get in one way, you can only get out one way. And so the state of Virginia, the other part of the land's in the state of Virginia. And so state of Virginia, they're just like, nope, we ain't doing a damn thing for you. Because, hey, Johnny boy, we offered you a package, and then you at the last second took the Tennessee package. So if you think we're going to pass any new road infrastructure for your Tennessee-based thing, nope. And it's an ongoing, it'll probably be a forever thing, borderline of that facility never having two major entrances to it because of the disgruntlement, the unhappiness of that the state of Virginia isn't getting paid for all that sales tax that Tennessee is. Yeah, so anyway, so kind of just stories there. Johnny Morris, incredibly successful, and then he bought out Cabela's just to take out the competition. And he literally took out Cabela's literally just so he could control more of the market. But here's something interesting, too. I've met individuals over the years. I met one individual like 10, 12 years ago that worked for Bass Pro Shops back in the early 2000, I guess, years, late 90s, I guess. And he was in the fishing side of it. He was in the, basically the hunting, fishing side. And he told me that he was making about $150,000 a year selling fishing equipment. I'm like, what? So back in the heyday, prior to the internet really kind of getting more of its place in the market for people to be able to buy things, back in the heyday, these people worked at Bass Pro Shops. They made serious pay. I mean, huge pay. And eventually, this one individual that was selling Honda motorcycles, and is around my age, he eventually left because when the internet thing really started to come along and the competition really started to catch up, his pay went to like half of what he used to make, if that. So anyways, I thought that was a pretty good story. And I was even telling a guy yesterday about that at the Cabela's. For a lot of the Cabela stores, they still have Cabela's, but they're slowly changing over Bass Pro Cabela's. So anyways, so I just got myself this pay. The union is right now, has till Thursday to get this car thing going. And you just think the repercussions of this union thing. I mean, come on. I think anybody watching my channel knows, and don't get me wrong, I'm not here to say that somebody doesn't deserve to make more money. The challenge is it's the big CEOs, the big board members, the big select individuals that get these huge compensations. Are they going to take pay cuts to compensate for the higher wages and higher expenses that will keep the prices of these vehicles and other things associated with other unions that won't just drive everything through the roof? It's just going to be so expensive. I mean, the inflation, it's just beyond believable. So here's what they say. This is even hard for me to believe it. So they're saying right now, the UPS driver, this is per UPS, the president of UPS, he claims that a seasoned UPS driver will now make an average of $175,000 a year. Now, keep in mind, That is a compensation package of benefits and pensions, sick leaves. There's a lot of variables on how they come to these numbers, but think that through. A seasoned, and I'm assuming a seasoned driver is a 10 plus year UPS employee, is making 175 grand a year average. So that means there's some making over 200 grand a year. Wow. Hello. Wow. Is that incredible? That's incredible. Now they're saying, the analysts are speculating that the Truist Bank financial analysts are saying, or somebody in that realm of the world is saying, that if this UAW deal was ever to come to be, that the average auto worker would be making like $136,000 a year. Yeah, I mean, and even for me, I hear that number, and even for me, I'm like, what? Are you? So they're saying that it would cost basically they're saying right now that for Ford, GM, Stellantis, the overall package of what I just explained, benefits and vacation and retirement, health care, they're saying right now that that's about a $62 per hour value overall. And they're saying that if the UAW gets this new deal done of what they're demanding, a 40% plus pay increase, they're basically going to be paying people like $130 an hour. Wow. I mean, wow. You just think, whoa. And so what they're saying is the UAW is, or I should say Ford and others are very concerned about, is that the likes of Tesla is at like at $45 an hour. Toyota and Hyundai and other ones are like 50, 52. So they're just very concerned that if this UAW really does force the hand, and they have but no choice to meet their demands, the expenses are going to go through the roof for the big three. And the biggest thing is it's going to be about the EV transition. And so the big three, what they're arguing about is they need, because here's the thing. This guy Shawn Fain is showing that how the big three are making billions of dollars of profits. They're making way too much money, and that they got to give it back. They have to give it back. It's all about the piggy bank and the pay. And so the big three are saying this transition to EV vehicles is going to be very expensive, and we need these extra profits to put back into infrastructure for us to stay competitive in the world market of the transition to EV vehicles. Wow. This morning I was going to talk about, I think I'm going to save it for tomorrow, but where's everything gone? I was thinking, gone. Gone. What is going on? I mean, gone. G-O-N-E. That was going to be this morning's conversation, but I thought, nah, we'll talk about the pay, because the UAW thing is on the doorstep of Thursday night. The contract ends, and between now and Thursday, this UAW, negotiate a deal. I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're going to see a strike. How big it is, but the whole point is this EV transition. I just think the green agenda. Oh my gosh, is anybody understanding how radical this green agenda is, and what is going on, and what's gone? What's gone? And like I say, I think tomorrow I'll focus more on that conversation. If you like to watch my channel, I'll just give a little heads up of kind of ideas that can, some ways, some people will be like, yeah, that's pretty radical to be making that statement. But you step back and think to yourself, what is going on and what's gone that's from this radical green agenda that we're witnessing. Yeah, wow. So once again, here's the pay, and everybody knows, what's the biggest challenge of a owner of a business? What's the biggest challenge of an individual that is climbing up the ladder in life? It's all about the pay. As a business owner, you have to be careful of how much you pay people, because you have to have the bottom line to keep your business healthy to stay in business. Another running joke is, think this through. If you're paying somebody 200 grand a year and they work for you, and let's just say that their job, and that's another thing that's talked about this UAW, is they want the 32-hour work week. They don't want to work 40 hours a week. So that's a whole nother conversation that the big three are like, we're not agreeing to this 4-day work week. You have to have a 40-hour work week for this incredibly high compensation. And that's what this guy, Shawn Fain's trying to do. He's trying to get the pay so high that you don't have to work a 40-hour work week. You only work a 4-day work week. I mean, I get all this. But the whole point is, if you're paying somebody 200 grand a year, and they've got a very modest lifestyle, and they're a pretty, intuitive and pretty disciplined and creative person. That person over time to be able to save up enough money to just take over the business that you have and circumvent you. That's a running joke forever. You just think it through. If you've got somebody that's making a ton of money, they can stash a ton of money as they work for you, and then at some point they're going to have $500,000 to go off and go do their own thing. And the odds are they'll go do the thing they learned that you taught them what to do. I mean, hello, right? And the other part of that is, what's the incentive to go to work? If a guy works here for 5 years and he stashes away $500,000, he may come to the point, where I think I'm going to go do something else. And then that person has that capability to be self-sufficient for ever how long it is. They say for you as an individual, you should have a year's worth of 6 months minimum to a year's worth of monies to survive. So if the dire straits come, you should be able to live off your savings or whatever you have for surviving 6 months at least, especially if you're an individual that's wanting to break off and go do their own thing or whatever it may be. Yeah, how many people have that? How many people do you think in this country have 6 months to a year's worth of pay stashed? Yeah, right. That's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, stupid saying. But here's the thing. Come on. If somebody has $1 million and they're like 28 years old, 30 years old, are they going to go to work? I don't think they would. I mean, the smart ones would, because they're going to keep on stashing money. But that's the challenge. Why do people get up and go do the garbage run? Why does a UPS guy get up and do a delivery run? I mean, there's very disciplined people that want to work and do things, but there's a ton of people that don't want to work. And that's the whole point of this conversation this morning. Wow. There's so many people today, I guess. I mean, I'm no expert here, but you read and you hear what's going on in the labor, the blue collar sector or the white collar sector. And the blue collar sector in some ways is going to be more rewarding than the white collar sector. I mean, right? I mean, is that really going to start to prevail more than ever, that the blue collar person is going to be making just as much money, if not more, than a white collar person? And or will the blue collar person have more job security than the white collar person because of all this generative pre-trained transformer, aka Chat GPT, OpenAI, artificial intelligence? Let's go on and on and on. All right, that's pretty much it for me for now. Just thought that this week will be very interesting to see what plays out with the United Auto Workers and the challenges that lie ahead for the automotive industry with the union that's pretty much got a stranglehold on them. And, what happens? I wonder if anybody here is listening to my channel and reaches out and says, hey, I think this thing's going to be an ongoing fight between the big three and the union, and that ain't going to get resolved anytime soon. And hey, here's your Ice HTV if you want a sticker. I've had a few people, just so you know, a few people have reached out. And just go to Ice Age TV comments at gmail.com. I really should have put keep the Ice Age alive or something like that. Just to kind of, whatever, the EV age, right? More EV conversations, more green agenda conversations tomorrow. I have some ideas and views on what's going on there. So anyways, hope everybody enjoys the channel. Hope everybody enjoyed watching the videos over the weekend of me doing my install on my muffler on my Pursuit. I did that video. Then I did a highway peg install, which is my iPhone, which I can't stand. Went into slow-mo, so it's one of my subscribers that catches all my imperfections. He always comments. I'm like, yeah, at least I know somebody watched a video more than 30 seconds. Not a very long video, but that's what's interesting. I make some of these videos, and most people, I get it. It gets boring very quickly, and just click the next one. That's just how it is. So, anyways, all right. Here's one more thing: the 911. Beyond believable that it's 22 years later that somebody lost their lives, and I can to this date remember my father calling me while I was in my house. I used to be in my house. I had a little office inside my house. I didn't have this barn fixed or restored. And I just so remember my dad saying, "Turn on the TV." An airplane just flew into the Twin Towers. My father worked for AT&T. He worked in New York City, so close to those buildings. He witnessed them being built. He saw those being built. My father had been to the Twin Towers, and so I remember him calling me and say, "Turn the TV." And so I turned it on, and I see the one tower that's now been hit by a plane, and it's on fire. And you're just like, "Wow, how the hell did a freaking major plane, or we didn't even know what plane hit it? How the hell did it hit that building?" And then as I'm watching the TV, we watch another plane go into the second tower, and then it's just like your whole. You just talk about helpless, just like instantly. It's like, oh my gosh, the most just incredible feeling that overcame my body was like, wow, we're under attack. We're under attack. So anybody here that's my age, anybody that's 20 years old, you have no clue. 22-year-old, don't have any clue. You really weren't here yet. But if you're like 35 years old, maybe 30, but 35, 40-year-olds are only ones that can probably maybe relate with it. If you're 40s and 50s, 60s and plus, you totally relate with this thing. Wow. Just beyond unbelievable. Just sad day. So anyways, all right, a little long, just, observing the 911. And one of the key motorcycle gathering foundation supporters, the guy lives right up the street here from me, that has been very active over the years of getting all the motorcycle people together to do the 911 ride for this DC local area. Just so you know, he lives right up the road here. Really cool guy. So anyways, thanks. God bless. Stay safe. Stay tuned. I got to go to work. I got so much going on. Jesus Christ. Have a great day.